Today's video is on Exodus chapter 13, and we're going to go right down to nearly the end of the chapter. We'll pick it up from verse 17. When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. That's the way of the coast, for God said, lest the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt. But God led the people around by the way of the wilderness toward the Red Sea. The people of Israel went up out of the land of Egypt and equipped for battle. But it's the next verse that I really want to speak on. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel solemnly swear, saying, God will surely visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones with you from here. And they moved on from Succoth and encamped at Ethem on the edge of the wilderness. So the real focus of the message was the bones of Joseph. That, of course, goes right back to the book of Genesis, chapter 50. Genesis chapter 50. If I just go back there. Genesis chapter 50, you remember there's more space devoted to Joseph and any other character in the book of Genesis. And often talk about Adam and Abraham and Jacob, but actually the character that has the most content in the book of Genesis is Joseph. And there, Genesis chapter 50, verse 24, and Joseph said to his brothers, I'm about to die, but God will visit you and bring you up out of this land, that is the land of Egypt at that time, the land that he swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And Joseph made the sons of Israel swear, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones from here. And so we see that this promise or act of faith on the behalf of Joseph is now fulfilled as Moses carries the bones of Joseph with him. Joseph believed before he ever saw the promise. Joseph lived and died in Egypt, but he refused to call Egypt home. He believed in God's promise to Abraham that it was unbreakable even if it took generations. Joseph didn't ask for honor or statue or a pyramid. Even though he was in Egypt, he asked for his bones to be taken to the promised land because he believed Israel would not stay in Egypt forever. Faith looks beyond today. Faith sees what God promised even when nothing around looks like it. So between Joseph's words and Israel's deliverance were about 400 years of slavery and hardship. Nothing about the situation looked like victory, but God had not forgotten. Numbers 23:19. God is not a man that he should lie, as he said, and shall he not do it? Israel may have forgotten the oath over time, but God didn't. When the day of deliverance arrived, God made sure Moses remembered Joseph's request. Even in the rush to leave Egypt, even with Pharaoh's army, even with fear and uncertainty, Moses took the bones because God's promises do not expire. The third point, going back to Exodus, is that God's obedience honors God, even in small things. Carrying bones, as we have here in verse 19, carrying bones didn't make the Red Sea open. It didn't defeat Pharaoh. It didn't feed the hungry. But Moses did it anyway because faithfulness matters to God. Luke 16, verse 10, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. To God, nothing done in obedience is small. When we honor what God has spoken, even when it feels quiet, slow, or unnoticed, we align ourselves with his faithfulness. And lastly, we carry the promise when we walk into unknown places. Israel was stepping into the wilderness, as we read here in the passage. not the promised land, but they carry the bones anyway. Sometimes God gives a promise but leads first into a season that doesn't look like the fulfillment of that promise. Hebrews 11 verse 23 says, let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised. Holding the promise during the transition is faith. Holding the promise in the wilderness is faith. Holding the promise when nothing changes yet is faith. And so the question is, what are you carrying today? Joseph's bones represent a promise spoken by God, a hope that would not die, a future worth waiting for. Maybe God has spoken something to you long ago, a calling, a ministry, a restoration, a transformation. Maybe time has tried to make you let it go. But like Joseph's bones and the coffin, your faith can become a silent witness until God moves. So let's remember, God keeps his promise, and we can carry those promises with us in those acts of faith in our lives. Thank you for listening.